What a crazy day of cricket today. I am completely beat. I've been covering cricket since this morning, 10 o'clock, of course, with the S under 19s, starting their World Cup campaign in their first opening match, and it was against the West Indies. So that's something that I'm going to be talking about on today's show, seeing that we did get a victory and there were some great performances to speak about. And then it was off to Newlands for the MI Cape Town versus Paul Royals clash. It was a home derby between the two sides. Newlands was packed. It was really a nice atmosphere and electric as usual. And people started coming to the stadiums. I think to the stadium a little bit after 5:30, so it wasn't really completely full at the toss or before the toss or when the game started. People started to start streaming in around 6 o'clock, around about there. I also had a radio interview as well, all the way in Joburg on Power FM, where they asked me some questions at the 10 over mark, which was also a lot of fun today. So it was quite a busy day for me when it comes to covering cricket. And I think I'll share all of that with you on today's show. This is a daily show today, and I'll be talking about all of the things that happened today in the cricket circles. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. We are on the brink of 5,000 subscribers, so help us get there very soon, guys, because that is the next milestone for us as the Cricket Fanatics family over here. I'd also like you guys to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. It is the SA20 edition that we brought out for you guys, so there is some behind the scenes type of content in there about some rookies, as well as some information about the tournament and what we feel about the tournament as here at Cricket Fanatics Mag. I'd also like you guys to please share and spread this link far and wide with any business owners you know, any entrepreneurs that you know that are trying to sell products or services effectively and affordably and do their marketing for their business. We have Cricket Fanatics Mag, the business corner, and we just launched it recently. So please get it in front of all your mates, all of your family members that you know have a business and are looking to market affordably and effectively to a cricket audience. We are the only viable option, so please go ahead and share this far and wide with everybody. The link is in the description as well as on the screen. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Looking forward to discussing everything with you guys. A very good evening. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid Mohideen. This is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today it was a jam-packed day of cricket action. For me personally, I covered the S under 19 game this morning. And as well, also went to Newland, to go and see the Paul Royals, or MI Cape Town take on the Paul Royals in the local derby. It is a double derby weekend. So on Sunday, they go to Paul and they go and play there as well. And then tomorrow, it's obviously a double header that will be taking place as well. So a lot of cricket to cover, a lot of cricket to talk about. But I think that the headlines today has to be, once again, Ryan Rickelton. I think it's time now that we start speaking about his inclusion in the white ball arena, particularly with the T20 World Cup on our doorstep. It is the perfect time for us to give someone like him an opportunity. Also, I'm going to talk about who he should come in for, because it's got to do for me about form. And I think adding him into the squad wouldn't do any harm for anybody. So to anybody, I think it will be very important to get him inside the T20 squad. He's an extra keeper as well. We'll have 3 keepers then in the side, including Quinton de Kock. So I think that's something that is something very important for us to talk about when it comes to him. The game was interesting. It started off with a bang. When I looked at the surface, there were quite a few cracks on the surface of the Newlands wicket. And I thought that, it will get easier to bat on as the sun bakes on the surface. It was extremely hot at Newlands today, 35 degrees. I was baking. The media center was quite hot. Not all the air cons necessarily were blowing full cold air. So I was trying to stand by the ones that were for a little while to the cool off. We did a couple of laps around the stadium as well to get some fan cams for our social media platforms. So if you want any behind the scenes type of content, we do it on YouTube. We do a couple of fan cams on YouTube, but we also try to get some other things on TikTok and on Instagram, etc. So follow us there too if you want some extra behind the scenes content. But first and foremost, in my Cape Town, it was an interesting one. They won the toss and they elected to bowl first. Now, some people maybe scratch their heads because chasing under lights, they didn't do it so well the last time, but they put themselves under that pressure again. And I think that it was a brave decision by the Robbie and the rest of the team that was involved with that particular decision. And despite the first couple of overs, which I feel the MI Cape Town team didn't necessarily bowl that well. I mean, Kagiso Rabada got smacked around the ground today. He was the most expensive bowler out of all the bowlers from MI Cape Town. He was hit for 5 sixes and a four, at economy of 14, and he only took one wicket for 42. But that wicket of Jason Roy, which is the main one, they got to 62 runs by 4.3 overs, and then Rabada took a wicket of Jason Roy. And I feel that that turned the game in MI's favor because they only managed to post 172 for 18 and 20 overs. I really thought that they would go on to score close to 200 at the stage when I was spoken to. At the stage at the 10 over mark, it was David Miller and Josh Butler at the crease, and Josh Butler was looking really good. He scored 46 of 31 balls, 6 4s and 2 6s. And David Miller was starting to get his eye in. So I said 200 would have probably been a good total on this particular ground to leave MI to chase. But my word, um, they started to crumble. And we have to talk about Thomas Kaber, 3 for 20 in his 4 overs, 5 economy rate, only went for 1 6. I think also a Division 2 player from SWD. What is interesting about his selection is that they obviously selected him because of that wrist spinning option. He provides wrist spin, which is very, very rare in South African cricket. So that obviously makes sense why they selected him in the team, because there aren't many that are all rounders that are wrist spinners in the country, really. So he is a massive asset to have, and he was the top bowler for MI Cape Town. He really did extremely well, and he put uh, Paul Royals on the back foot and made it very difficult for them to score runs. Then MI Cape Town went out to bat, and Rassie van der Dussen once again with Ryan Rickelton put on a decent partnership of 80 in 8.1 overs, a little bit slower than they usually do go at, but Rassie van der Dussen was quite attacking, 41 of 28 balls, 4 4s and 2 6s at a strike rate of 146.42. But the man of the hour, the man of the day was Ryan Rickelton. A 94, 52 balls, 7 4s and 6 6s, hit the winning runs with a 6. He was absolutely fantastic today. And he's put on another great performance. He's shown again why the selectors should have a look at him for the T20 World Cup. I think that he is one of the players, if you're going to take any player out of the SA20, and say that they should get a chance because of their performances, it has to be Ryan Rickelton. It's now on the trot. He's scored in every single game almost. So he's been absolutely fantastic from the word go. And there's nothing else there's nothing else we can really say about it other than Coach Rob Walter, have a look at him. Lorenzo says, you see, Harley, this is why my brother and I are always of the opinion on selecting players who's currently on form, as form is temporary. Rickleton, in my opinion, should be in the World Cup squad. That's no debate. Carl Rickelston. Huh? Ryan Rickleston says, why I said, Carl, I don't know, need to sleep, says Macmillan. Thank you for tuning in, even though it is quite late. I really appreciate it. Kani says, Carver doesn't look like a second division bowler. Had a tough debut game as Klaasen took him apart, but showed his class against Joss and Miller. Yeah, he really looked top class today. He really bowled well. Has an interesting action as well from where he bowls at. Lorenzo says, if Rickleton continues with his great form and outperforms both Quentin de Kock and Riza, then he should play, as we must give us the best chance of winning. If that means Riza opening up with Rickleton, then so be it. And we shouldn't be scared of making those decisions, I think. Those are brave decisions that can be made. So I don't see why not. We've been speaking on this channel a lot about picking players that are currently in form because they do have the best chance of possibly scoring runs and performing. So why not give them an opportunity to see what they can do for South Africa, especially if they are in form? So I agree with this, Lorenzo. I don't see any issues with having to drop the out of form player between the two of them. Ganesh is hardly for me. It's between Quinton de Kock and Ryan, as both of them offer the same skill set. Only one of them will make the squad. Personally, I would prefer Ryan. I don't think they would only pick one of them. I think if Ryan does get selected, that he would probably be an additive to the squad, an addition to the squad, on top of Quinton de Kock. I don't think they would be brave enough to be able to drop Quinton de Kock for Ryan. Chatil says Ryan Rickleton's scoring is good, but does Shukri like him as a bloke? And is he comfortable working with him? I do think that he does like him as a bloke. I mean, he selected him in his first in the West Indies, so that was before he actually had an opportunity to see any of the players really and playing for the Proteas. So yeah, I do think so. I'm not sure. We would obviously have to ask him directly about that. But I don't think from a test cricket perspective, I don't think that's where we should be looking at him right now. Based on his T20 form alone, I think he does deserve an opportunity for the Proteas. Lawrence says Ryan Rickleton is going to the World Cup. That's no debate. Finally, we are at a place where any opening combination we go with, no one would have a moan about it. That's what we want. Kani says we are still in search of an all-rounder. Marco has been inconsistent. Andile's batting has improved, but his bowling is going downhill. Yeah, perhaps we do need to look at an all-rounder as well. Lorenzo says we must also stop the scrap that Quinton Cock is undroppable. If he still played all three formats of the game, I would have agreed, as he would have offered us more. But at this moment, Quinton Cock sadly don't want to play for SA anymore. Lawrence is so chuffed about for Kaba. Yet another guy who's toiling at season and season out, season in and season out. The domestic scene, he really bowled well. He did, and I think that is something we do have to highlight. I think he was fantastic today. He showed a lot of composure, especially against the players that he played against, with the form that they are in as well. So I think that's also something that we also need to talk about because he has been fantastic, and also he took important wickets of players that could have been destructive. Fabian Allen, Andile Pechlekwayo, and David Miller, which I think is the game turner. Was the David Miller wicket, because if David Miller got in, you could have really been looking at a score of 200 with him and Josh Butler. Chatil says Shukri Khan had forced Alga to retire. Hopefully, he doesn't do stupid crap with current players. Lorenzo says we all know he will retire after the World Cup. So if he is not in form, then he shouldn't go. We're here to win the World Cup, not hold hands. 100%. Brevis understanding the difference between playing kids and men. Poor guy was hyped to the moon, and so much pressure was on him since under 19 World Cup. And I said that from the under 19 World Cup already. I was consistent with my talking points surrounding Diego Brevis. I said we need to be patient with him. We shouldn't rush him into international cricket. We should allow him to develop his game and get better. And I think that first class cricket is going to teach him a hell of a lot, and he needs to play seasons of domestic cricket, playing against men consistently, and then we can start looking at him. He's currently in bad form, but I don't think that should be a reason to drop him. I think with your younger players, I would give them a little bit more of an opportunity, even when they are in bad form, because those experiences are going to teach them a hell of a lot for their future game. Kani says Van Buren, Rickelton, Stubbs, and Don are currently ahead of Brevis in the picking order. The Stefan guy in Cape Town looks very good. Which Stefan guy? Stephen guy. I know Connor Esterhuizen was good today as well, 17 or 14 balls. 1-4 today. He did the job with Ryan Rickelton, allowed Ryan Rickelton to strike at 180.76. So Rickelton was excellent. Lawrence says he feels for Brevis. The boy's confidence is shot. You can see he's playing with that fan expectation. Let's not do the same with Maphaka. Yeah, let's move on to Maphaka, because the under 19 team played today in their first World Cup match. Interesting game, I must say. A game that had its ebbs and flows. I think that it started off great with Leandro Pretorius looked really good. He was batting with freedom and he was attacking 40 of 34 balls, strike rate of 117, 6 4s and 1 6. And he looked really comfortable at the crease. It's unfortunate that he lost his wicket on 40. David Tiga, he played today and he got 40 of 98 balls. But what West Indies did well is to dismiss our top five at least for 145 runs, or top six actually is for 145 runs. And South Africa looked almost down and out at that point in the match. And then came a comeback partnership, which I think changed the entire game in South Africa's favor. Devon Murray batted so beautifully. 65 of 38 balls, 4 4s and 6 6s. Oliver Whitehead also looked really good. And Richard Seletswane, who I rate quite highly. They looked quite good at the crease, but then the run out changed the game a bit. Oliver Whitehead then fell shortly after. And the game started turning in the West Indies' favor. And I thought that it would be very, very difficult for them to recover. And a lot of pressure was on the captain, Juan James, which I want to talk about a little bit because he was kind of thrown into this captaincy due to the whole political situation with David Tiga. I don't think it's the political angle. CSA said that it was a safety reason that they stripped him from the captaincy. They kept him in the side. And Juan James was made captain almost on the last minute. So for him to go in there and score 47 when the team needed him, or 54 balls, 3 4s and a 6, and turn the game in South Africa's favor and put his side into a winning position, batted till the last ball of the final over, and then was run out because he played for his team and not for the runs, not for the milestone, and ended up getting run out with his side on 283. And they got to 285 for 9, which was always going to be, I would say, a difficult chase for the West Indies. And despite a quick start, with Kwena Maphaka was absolutely brilliant in his first 2 overs. He knocked over the West Indies for 17 for 3 in 2.6 overs and was absolutely amazing. The way he was moving that ball around was just absolutely fantastic. And not only did he show it at the start of his innings, but start of his spell, but also at the end of his spell. He took a fifer and 5 for 38 in 9.1 overs with an economy of 4.14. An absolutely magnificent performance by Kwena Maphaka, who we also have to be quite patient with. He's a youngster, still in school, needs time to develop, to grow, etc. So let's not start talking about pushing him into international cricket too soon. Let's try and work with him, build him up, allow him to play some domestic cricket, first-class cricket, where he's going to have to toil away, bowl over after over after over, remain consistent, keep good lines and lengths. All of those things he's going to need to do. But Maphaka was also helped out by Riley Norton, who also bowled decently when it comes to taking wickets, but he was quite expensive. He took 3 for 66 in his 8.5 overs, 7.47 economy rate, and went for quite a few fours. Moved the ball around a bit as well, which I thought was quite interesting. And I think he bowled decently today and was a important player for South Africa. Definitely was an important player for South Africa. And yeah, it was good to see him also bring the game back into South Africa's favor because they knocked them down for 190 for six. It was 73 for five, and then they allowed the game to go a little bit away from them, and it was 190 for six. And Joel Andrew was fantastic. He scored 130 over 96 balls, 14 fours and three sixes at a strike rate of 135.41. He almost took the game completely away from South Africa, put them on the back foot, made it difficult for them to take wickets and to continue their wicket taking rhythm. And then Tariq Edward lost his wicket, and then Nathan Edward lost his wicket, and then Jule Andrew lost his wicket, and that was the game because the final wicket was taken in the 41st over, and Maphaka getting that wicket to clean up the tail and get a first fifer in a 19 World Cup event. So overall, West Indies was bowled out for 254, and South Africa got their first win under the belts. So fantastic from that perspective. We have England, Scotland in our group. So chances of qualification, because the West Indies were one of the teams to beat. So West Indies, we've got a win against them now. So it's now England next, and then Scotland as well that we need to beat to try and get that qualifying spot. And then, as you know, in knockout games, anything can happen. So let's support the young boys. They put in a great performance, and I have to congratulate Maphaka for his performance with the ball because at the end of the day, his performance won South Africa the game ultimately, and that 131-run partnership as well between Murray and Joan James. So that's the main factors that I wanted to speak about on today's show so far. Let me get back into the live chat. Um, where am I now? I think I've read these out already. This is all on the people who overhyped Debbie from the start, calling him Baby AB and comparing him with the AB is ridiculous. We should let him be. I've seen the same movie with Justin Ontong before, and I said that. I said we should start calling him Baby AB. He is Deelwat Brevis. I said it in my interview with Deelwat. Um, I said I know a lot of people call you Baby AB, but I think it's now time that you just call yourself DB and you find your own way to play this game. Um, it's now he needs to find a way on how he can adapt and improve his game to get the best results for himself. So, yeah, there was a lot of hype around him, and we need to protect our young players from that and give them all the support that we can and be patient with them. Aman says Maphaka, fire, 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 fire. Yeah, it is. Lorenzo says Justin Ontong was compared to John T. Rhodes and was also overhyped by the media and fans back then. And look what happened when he was rushed into the national setup. He never, ever recovered. Aman says 4 consecutive 50s for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is actually my favorite wrestler. Chatil says he does look a bit like Cody Rhodes. I've actually noticed that before. Um, Adrenaline in my soul. I have never seen a non-Indian player get so much attention and hype from under 19 World Cup before. Brevis basically has played everything since that with AB comparisons and unrealistic expectations. Armin says Norton might choose rugby. I heard that he played under 19 rugby as well for SA. So SA schools rugby, I think. So that's also quite interesting. Evan Jones injured, actually not 100% sure there. Lorenzo says you can just see the nerves on DB's face when he walks out to bat. He knows the fans hype him, and he clearly don't want to be to disappoint us. But unfortunately, all is just too much on such a young shoulders. And that's when the coaching staff and the senior players need to put our arm around him and support him and give him the words of encouragement that he needs, to be able to go through, to able to fight through this. Unfortunately, there's nobody in the setup that can help him with what he's experiencing, because there's nobody in the setup in the current team that got the hype that he did. I know you compared it to Justin Ontong, but the amount of attention DB gets is like was way more, and because of the Indian hype as well, he gets a crazy amount of attention, and a crazy amount of expectations are on this boy's shoulders. So us as a fan base and supporters of South African cricket need to rally behind him and give him the support that he needs. And we need to be patient with him, like I said, over and over again, and allow him to develop in domestic cricket. There's no harm in going away, playing 2 years or a year of domestic cricket to get yourself into the game, to get yourself into the stage where you can find consistency and find yourself in your own way and style of play, and then we can start talking about national call-ups, etc. Bevis is just 20, not worried for the boy at all. Laugh out loud, really do look like Cody Ross. Press conference should give Matt Bose some games. Let's see if that happens. Matt 92, I mean, they spend so much money on him. Matt 92 says Rickleton should play all three formats. Yeah, I do think, though, that the test format, I think there's still some lessons to be learned for him with regards to the longer format. Lorenzo says, yet you still see people who say they'll select Brevis over Rickleton. Armin says, chill guys, Brevi will come good in the coming games. I think we are being overcritical on him. I'm not criticizing him at all. I said on plenty of shows that we need to allow him to settle in, and it's good that these other players in the team that they're relying on and that are performing around him. I think that we need to just stick with him and allow him to play as many games as possible, if not all the games in this tournament, to allow him to get himself into form. He could play one knock in one game in a semi or playoff. That can really boost his confidence completely. And I think that's something that we need to do. Matt 92, disappointed not to see Kyle Verreynne play for the Pretoria Capitals. It really sucks that Kyle Verreynne, Tony De Zorzi, who else is there? There's Kyle, Tony. I can't think of anybody else. Temba's not playing currently. So it really sucks that these players were picked up in the SA20 and they're sitting on the bench when they could be in New Zealand right now. That irritates me because we really needed them for that test series in New Zealand, particularly those players that I just mentioned that are sitting on the bench and not getting an opportunity to play. So the fact that they are contracted and they are bound to their contracts is ridiculous for me, but understandable, but ridiculous. I wish that there was some sort of waiver in the contract or some sort of clause in the contract that would allow them to be able to still go play for their country. If the franchise says they're not going to pick them, they just back up bench players. So that is a little bit unfortunate and a little bit disappointing that is happening. We could see Tony De Zorzi play, though, now that Nicholas Poran has moved on. There is a possibility that he could perhaps come into the mix. But I just signed Marcus Stoinis, so as an all-rounder. So it's going to be interesting what's going to happen with him there as well, Tony. Armin says, imagine Neil Brandt scoring a 200 on day one in New Zealand. Yeah, imagine. Just imagine. Lorenzo says, and Khalid, people might think, who is Justin Ontong? out. But apart from Gibbs and AB, Ontong was just as talented, but he never lived up to that expectation. I just hope DB will come good. Me too. I hope DB will come good. There was also a lot of attention on JP Duminy, Jason Smith, and there are quite a few players that have been hyped up that never necessarily immediately lived up to the expectation or lived up to the expectation in their career. Um, so we need to find a way on how to balance our support of these players. When does the team leave to New Zealand? I think they have left already, if I'm not mistaken. We did get some information from Cricket South Africa recently, and I think they have left to New Zealand. Let's check quickly. They left today, I think. So yeah, they left today because there were some interviews at the airport ahead of their departure. Armin says Proteas having players De Bruyne, Ingram as their number 3 and 5, and players like Yanaman is sitting at home. Yanaman over them any day, says Armin. Lorenzo says the bench test players in the SA20 should have known that they would have got a consistent run in the SA20, or they wouldn't get a consistent run in the SA20, and should have just spoke to CSA and come to an agreement. Oh, Lorenzo saying they left today. Surely Rickleton needs to start for the T20 World Cup. So that's going to be another thing. I wanted to just highlight that. Surely he gets a spot in that World Cup now. Even if they pick him as a batter alone, he's his form has been absolutely ridiculous. And every single innings that he's played has been at a very high strike rate as well. So it's not only getting the runs, but he's also performing. Lorenzo says, I'm kind of looking forward to the New Zealand series. I am too. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the early mornings. Getting up early to cover the game as early as that is going to be quite taxing on me, especially when there's SA20 happening at the same time as well. So, yeah, I'm going to be going through a period of hectic, um, hectic work schedule now during this period. Lorenzo says, yes, the SA20 is great, but I'm longing for Test cricket again. I'm always longing for Test cricket. Really am. Armand says, Diva Marais changed the game for us. 100% changed the game for us. Him and Juwan James actually together. The partnership there was fantastic. I think they both played with maturity, and it was really great to see that. A turnaround like that is always very good for your confidence as well. And when you still got guys like Steve Stork and in the team that can still score massive runs in other games, and you have players like Richard Selatswane, who are rate highly, that can still do some things. Ramashan Pillay is also a very talented player. David Tiga, of course, we know. Luandre Pretorius is very good as well. So good to see that we won this game, a tight game like that. When not a tight game, but you won the game in a manner that we did, because it does still allow players to hit the form. There's some incentive for them to perform in other games now, because they didn't necessarily get those milestones in this game. Can't wait for the New Zealand series. I can't wait either. I always enjoy Test cricket. Just going to be quite tricky on when I'm going to find time to sleep during that period. Matt92 says, wish we saw more SA players in the SA20. Yeah, it would be nice for them to maybe move that rookie signings to maybe 2. That would be great. But dependable on the coaches that they select in the future. Dependable on what coaches they pick in the future, they will also determine the style of play that they want to play. I think that generally speaking, someone like Robbie P is a person that likes young talent, so and gives a young talent a chance, which we are seeing. Amin Sirkhan looks like a young Cody Rhodes. Yeah, I said it earlier on as well. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I am extremely tired right now. That's why I'm giving you a shorter show today. Please go check out our social media platforms for some shorter format content, video content that will be quite entertaining for you guys. Go check that out on our social media platforms. And because I think it will give you some nice entertainment and maybe some laughs. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. And I'll see you guys very, very soon with another daily show. Stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out, everyone.